Welcome to the Effortless Swim podcast. My guest today is someone who I don't know how to introduce. It's either swimmer, sailor, anesthesiologist, fashion designer. I don't know where to start, but Victoria, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
We've gotten to know each other over the last almost 12 months now since we started working together, and I got to meet you in person along with your husband Jody on our Maldives camp a couple of months ago, which was awesome. And I wanted to get you on the podcast because in the last 12 months, it's been awesome to watch your journey and just how much you've improved as a swimmer. And I recently, well, just today, I went back and looked at the very first video that you sent through because I'm like, what was that like? How were you swimming back then? And it wasn't as bad as what you're making it sound there, but it just needed a little bit of refinement. And I think, and you only really started swimming last year in September, where you said you could hardly swim 2 laps back then. So to go from that to where you are now is incredible. So what's got you started with swimming?
So I have always been able to like tread water and I've never been afraid of the water, but I've never known how to do an actual freestyle stroke or any kind of stroke in particular. And my friend who I talk to almost every day, she is a pattern designer and makes patterns in ISO. So that's how we met. She got into triathlons and I talk to her every day. So I'm seeing her like train and do all these cool things. And I'm exercising, doing like kind of body weight hit type stuff. But I used to be a dancer. So I never really liked the concept of exercising because you have to exercise. I kind of like just having a goal or like enjoying what you're doing and just happen to be exercising. Do you know what I mean? Like just doing something you love, but not. So I was kind of interested in oh, what's she doing this triathlon thing? What is this about? And I've always been the kind of person that's like I'm only gonna run if someone's chasing me. Like, I don't ride my bike other than with my kids, and I never swam. And so I have a pool basically across the street. It's like the community pool. And they had this sign up for like adult learn to swim classes. And I was like, well, if I'm gonna even consider this whole triathlon business, I'm gonna need to know how to swim. like, let me just see if I can learn how to swim before I even like start anything else. And I was like, I feel like I had been having some injuries and some problems with like the workout I was doing. And I was like, I feel like swimming would be obviously better for my body. So I was like, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. So I go and I call them and I end up taking the class. It's kind of a long story, but I end up taking the class and I'm with this other girl that's terrified of the water. And then this other like gentleman that's a lot older than me. And then I'm in there. And then there's this like 18-year-old that looks like he could swim forever. And then and it's me. And so we're all just like starting out, just kind of like blowing bubbles. And I'm like, okay. Like I'm not afraid of water, but I'll do it. I'll do it. And it was really good because it helped you kind of, relax and it was kind of like a sink down basically. And then it was 4 classes, only $10 for 4 classes. And at the end, we learned all the strokes, and at the end, he told us to swim to like the middle of the pool. And I was like, "What? No." Can't do that. And so I did, and then I finally went all the way across, and when I got to the other end, I was like, "Oh my god, what just happened?" Like, it took me, like, 10 years to get across, and then I was totally out of breath. So I wanted to obviously continue to swim, and I was talking to the coach, and he has a swim, masters, like, US Swim Masters program in the morning. They don't compete or anything, but they just kind of swim together, like as a group. And I was like, well, I don't know when I can come because I have to be work at like 6:30, and I need to get home before that. And the pool doesn't open till 5, and I don't know when I get off. And the pool it closes at like 4 p.m. and it's not open on the weekend, so it's very limited. And he's like, well, you can come swim in the morning with us at 4:30, and I was like, "What?"
Oh, geez, that's an early start. Very
Uh,
early start.
But I was like, well, I get up at 5:30 anyway. I was like, I mean, what's an hour? Fine. Okay. So I started to come and he was giving me like these sheets of like it was like called Swim a Mile, and it was like a 12-week program where you build up to just swimming a mile continuously in the pool. And so it would be like, I would swim like 25s, and then it was like, okay, swim 50s, and then it just gradually built up, and it helped build my fitness, but I was still like just working so hard. Like every lap was just so hard, and I think I was just, my head was up and I was just not doing well. I was like, and he had a lot of people that were swimming, and he would swim as well. So he would tell me some things, but I started kind of YouTubing. So I was like, okay, I need to figure this out. Like I need to research. I need to like investigate like how to swim. So I started coming up on your videos, and I was like, okay, I can learn all of these things and I can get better at swimming, and but it will feel easier. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, because I'm the kind of person, like, I don't want to spend a lot of time like doing something the wrong way. I think you had someone on the podcast that said something like to one of his swimmers that he was spending a lot of time like swimming the wrong way, or like swimming like 3,000 meters the wrong way or something. And I was like, well, I don't want that to be me. Like, I don't have that much time to waste. Like, I'm trying to do 5,000 things in my life. I need to be efficient. So, so then I just started watching all your videos and stumbled upon it and then joined the membership, and even like the first, like, I think I sent you an email with a video, which I watched that video the other day, and it was so hard to watch. I don't see how he can look at these things and not want to say like 10 things at one time, because it's just so awful.
But
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 yeah,
at the time though,
yeah.
did you like have when going back to that first video when you recorded it, when you watched it, did you have that understanding of what you were doing wrong though?
Not really. I mean, the only thing I really noticed was I thought it was helpful to video myself and just watch myself, because I had watched a lot of your videos too. But my biggest thing was like when I saw like my head, I don't think it was a video I sent you, but I had fixed it before I sent it to you. But like my head was like all the way out of the water. Like I don't even know. I didn't think it was that high. And I was like, you could see like my whole head. And then when I turned, it was like I don't know, like, everything was out of the water,
Looking
and
for the
I thought it
stars.
was a
Yes.
lot lower than that. Like, I thought, "Oh, I'm doing great, I'm low, I feel like I'm good." But when I watched the video, I was like, "Nope, that is not the
Yeah.
case."
Well, it's like looking back at that first video, that the main things that stood out to me there, and I know that we worked on, was that like the first one was the breathing. You were turning and almost looking up to the ceiling,
Yeah.
and that was causing a lot of rotation through the shoulders, which was impacting your catch. And so I think the first thing we really started with was just that breathing position, and trying to stay a little bit
Mhm.
flatter as you do that. Because if I'd mentioned 10 things and said, all right, now do this with your catch, and now I want you to make sure your
Yeah.
hips don't roll that, it's just like it'd be overwhelming. And
Yes.
what's been really pleasing for me working with you is like you've just followed the process. You haven't been in a rush to change things. You just take your time, and in the results of 11, maybe 11 months now, it's
Mhm.
like it's amazing just seeing what you're doing. And we saw that like stroke count wise, you were 22, 23 strokes maybe when we
Mhm.
started, and then we're down 18, maybe
Yeah,
19.
it's probably more than that when I started, actually. The 22 is probably just a few months ago, but yeah, it's
Right.
it's a lot lower, yeah.
Yeah, and just watching you swim, just purely by the visuals of it, you are holding so much more water. It's like
Mhm.
great to see that connection and the catch and the pull improve, and all those sorts of things. So it's amazing to have that kind of result in such a short space of time. And I mean, you've been really consistent with your swimming. You're active. You're doing a lot, and you've just got that patience and willing to, just try one or two things at a time, which has been great to see. Has there been any frustrations that you've experienced with your swimming in since you started?
Yeah, I mean, for a really long time, like I felt like I was swimming so much better, and I would look on my watch and be like, it's the same time, like the time just would not change at all. And I was like, but it feels so much better. But I mean, it was just getting easier to swim. And then I think when I tried to coordinate my kick, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is horrible. It feels so weird." Like, I thought I was doing it, like, how I should be doing it, but when I think I was, like, kicking my left leg down when my right I don't know, I think I was doing it completely the opposite way. Yeah, I don't know how, I think it had to do with my body rotation or something, but when I finally, like, coordinated that, it was so much better, like, everything was so much better, when I was learning that, it was so rough for, like, 2 or 3 weeks. I was like, "This is horrible. I hate swimming. I feel so unnatural," Like, I would swim with a pool buoy, and I would, like, still kick my legs a little bit just to kinda be like, remember, "Okay, which leg goes down and which arm goes?"
Was there something that helped make it click, or was there a drill or something that actually made it come together after a few weeks of frustration?
Yeah, it was the one with I would do it with fins, but, it would be like the single arm, stroke, or single arm drill, I guess, with the, making sure your kick coordinates with it, and it helps to also coordinate it with the hand entry because I think, like, one of the videos you had said that my kick was before my hand or something was entering before. Like, I was coordinating it with the catch, but not like it was coming in too late or something. So I was trying to think of it like with both of them. And like anything that's in sort of a rhythm for me is really helpful. I connect really well with like music and rhythm and just like a pattern. And so
Mm.
that was helpful for me. So I can like think about that drill like when I'm swimming and that helps a lot. So
Do you come from a dancing background?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I did that my whole life almost until part of college. I quit finally, but
and that's and it kind of comes across in your swimming, like you've got good rhythm and flow in the stroke, and I see that with um, like sometimes like gymnasts as well who I've worked with. Like you
Mhm,
can kind of see it when they swim. And the drill that you're talking about, it sounds like it's the single arm kick timing drill, which is if you
mhm,
put fins on, you've got one arm in front, and then you just do a single arm stroke, and you want to try and coordinate the hand entry with your opposite foot kicking down, and then you want to coordinate the kick with the downwards kick on your left foot with your left arm. So, and it's only two kicks per stroke, so you just focused on those things. And I think we did that in the Maldives, and
mhm.
most people, for at least for the first 5 minutes, it's like, oh my god, this
Yeah.
is just and it like and people just go, "I don't get it. I just cannot get this to
Yeah.
happen." But, eventually people start to get it with enough practice because it's a tricky thing. It's like,
Yeah.
trying to find a beat, trying to find a rhythm when you're dancing.
Mhm.
I still can't get that. I probably need a good drill for that. But it's the same thing in swimming. Like, it does take a lot of practice, but when it does come together, you get that full body timing and connection, and it feels good. And you know when you've
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, and I had practiced that. I had been practicing that drill for like 3 weeks before the trip, and so when everyone was doing it, I was like, "I've been there." Been there. And, like, I could do it, but I was like, "I could not do it 3 weeks ago." So,
So you got the head start on everyone.
yeah, I was like, "Yes."
Yeah, it's and especially like what I noticed after you were sending through videos after the camp as well, you're like that seems when things really came together for
Mhm,
you. And I think you said in like our coaching thread is that part of that you feel like your swim strength has improved? Like,
Yeah.
what changed there for you, or what did you change to have yourself feel stronger in the water?
Um, so for a while, like way back when I would do the sets that I do with my squat, and I would some of them would have paddles. And I think back then my catch was either, I don't remember, like too deep or something was going on with it where it was causing a lot of pain here. And so I stopped using the paddles because I was like, well, it's making it worse. And so, I stopped using them. But I think since I stopped using them for months, and then my catch got a lot better, like technique wise. I wasn't using just, my shoulder or my pecs. I was using more of my back probably. And then when I went to the Maldives, I was like, okay, I feel like my catch is doing pretty well, but I just can't like keep it up for that long. I can see like I just get tired. Like I need to just swim more. But I do swim 3 times a week, but I don't really use paddles. And I was like, well, let me try those again because I feel like my technique is a lot better. And I feel like they won't. Let's just see if they cause a problem this time. So it'd been a long time since I've used them. And so I started using them more like whenever, not more than I'm supposed to, but whenever the set would tell me to use them, I would use them. Um, and I feel like that's helped me a ton. Like I try to use them and then I take them off and then I use them and then I take them off. Like I don't do it for, you know, 1,000 yards at a time. I take breaks just because I want to try to feel the water with my hands also and not just, with the paddles. But
Mm.
I really feel like that's helped a lot, just the pals, and I also do, when I remember, I do, like, the bands, for the rotator cuff, like, the rotator cuff
Yeah, with the
exercises.
TheraBands. Yeah.
Yeah, and my arms have always been, like, the weakest part of it, and I mean, as a dancer, you have strong arms, but, like, my legs were always a lot stronger, so, yeah, they've always been kinda not so great, so I need to
Yeah.
work extra hard.
Ah, well,
So
it's really showing, and like you just, it's quite a unique movement, swimming, especially the
mhm,
overhead movement of your catch. It's just there's nothing really that you'd probably be doing in daily life that's similar to that or similar to those muscles that
mhm,
you're using. So yeah, it's a different form of strength, and I think some of that comes with the time and practice and consistency. But if you can use the paddles and have that little bit more load on them,
mhm,
you can increase the strength, and also the TheraBand stuff is really good because you do use a lot of the like infraspinatus, supraspinatus
mhm,
through the catch movement. And I think part what might have been causing your shoulder pain through the front initially with your catch was you weren't crossing under your body, but you were like just coming
mm,
in a bit too much in the beginning,
mhm,
and it
mhm.
just loads it up too much through the front of the
Yeah.
shoulder. Then you start to come a bit wider, which allows you to get into the lats just from memory, thinking back to those
Yeah,
videos a
yeah,
few
tha
months
I
ago.
was doing that as well, yeah. I went through all the areas. I was here, and then I was here, and
You found the sweet spot now,
I've done them
which is
all.
great to see. Yeah, and look, you got to try different things, and
Yeah,
that's
I
in your
was just
wheelhouse
checking
with
it
all the
out,
different
making sure
things
you were right, yeah.
that you do. Yeah, that's right. And I mean, thinking of your times now, like I think you're around 2 minutes at the start of the year, 2 minutes for like
Mhm.
a roughly 400 and 200 meter time trial, and now I think you was it 140 or just under 140s.
Probably, like, nice and easy, if I went for, like, an hour, it would probably average to, like, 142 or 143 or something like that, yeah, which is a
Yeah,
lot better for me.
yeah, and that's really good, yeah, especially for having swum for just over 12 months, and then you've been doing some 100 time trials
Mhm.
as well, just seeing what you can get down to. Is your current best 128
No, 127
or
the other
127?
day. Oh,
Nice,
yes.
there you go. So you're continuing to edge that down, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool. And you recently sent through a sprint video as well, like a 25 sprint.
Mhm.
And what I like there is that you're letting things go. Sometimes people are trying to be too perfect with their stroke when they sprint, but you have to get the stroke rate up. So that's really
Mhm.
good to see. And I made some suggestions in our last sort of coaching video there, where I think you can find a bit more speed. And some of that was around keeping your length. So when you're entering and reaching
Mhm.
forwards, the hands just rushing down a bit. So even with sprinters,
Mm.
they'll take that little bit of time to reach forwards in front of the shoulder and then start the catch. So I think you can just
Mm,
hold your length a little bit more in the sprint, and it will.
mhm.
I think we can get that down to under 125 in the next
That'd be awesome.
month or two, which would be a good, pretty good goal to hit, which would be
Yeah.
awesome. And
With
uh, and thinking of your swimming, what it like a lot of times when people start swimming, they might try it for a few months and go, okay, this isn't really for me. But it seems like it's something that you quite enjoy. You're doing it
mhm.
regularly. You're coming to the Maldives for a swimming trip, which you probably may not have thought you would have done 12 months ago. So, what is it that you
Yeah.
like about swimming?
I think I just love it because it's so technical. Like I've always been like a math person and science person, and I feel like if I can just figure out how to do something like with my brain, then it just I just love it more. It's just cooler to me because I feel like I can conquer it like not just with hard work, but also with like technical, I guess the technical part of it. So I think it's just like something to conquer. Like it's just kind of like a goal. Like I want to keep perfecting it and I want to keep analyzing it and keep like just and swimming for me, like I have, 3 kids. So um and we're really busy and there's always so much noise and I listen to podcasts and stuff too, and I been learning French for a couple of months and so I'm listening to French podcasts and then when I get in the water it's just silent and I'm just like okay. It's just nice to, like, not because I think if I have the chance to, like, listen to something, then I'll do it because I feel like, "Oh, I can't waste time," or whatever, but when I'm in the water, I can't, and it's just, like, a free moment where I'm just like, I can just listen to nothing, and it's
Mm,
great. So, it's
yeah,
very relaxing. I always feel like my body feels so great afterwards, like, I don't have aches and pains or, issues, I had that one for a while, but that's gone now, so I feel like it's so easy on your body, and I don't know, it's fun
yeah.
now. It used to not be fun, but now it's fun.
it, it's funny how things become enjoyable and fun when you see improvement, you get good at them,
Mhm.
and you have an idea of what you need to do to continue to get better. Whereas when you're coming
Yeah.
at it with no experience, no idea of what you should be doing, you just bang your head against the wall, and you can put in the hard
Mhm.
work and see results, but it's frustrating. And I compare that to surfing for me. I started when I was 18, so I was an adult learner, and I like first 2 or 3 years, I saw improvement because you're just practicing and coming from nothing. But then there was probably a period of
Mhm.
about 7 years where I was just like exactly the same, never got any better. And then I started to actually get some coaching and like listen to someone on YouTube as well. And I'm like, oh my god, this makes so much sense. Like all these
Yeah.
analogies, how you should hold your body, what you should do in different parts. I'm like, oh my world has opened up now, and it's so much more enjoyable. And I feel like I
Yeah.
belong there more. Like if there's good surfers in the water, I feel like maybe I can't match it with them, but I belong there, and I'm not going to look like a total kook out in the water. Which
Yeah.
and that feels good, For me, it's
Yeah.
like like I worked hard to get there, and I've taken the time to learn these things, and for me, that's really satisfying that I can see that improvement, and I know that I am
Mhm.
getting better, and I can still see what's possible going forwards as well. And for me, that's like,
Mhm.
I get a real kick out of that side of things.
Mhm. Yeah, I think like and it's a habit for me now too, like getting up Monday, Wednesday, Friday every week and going to the pool. Like now I'd be like lost with that. Like the other day the pool was closed for Veterans Day and it was Friday and I was like, "What am I supposed to do? I don't understand. This is so weird." And my guy was like, "Just take a break day." And I was like, "No, what? What? I don't want a break day."
Yeah, that's the same. And if I get back from say coaching late on a Sunday, if I've been interstate for clinics, and I get home at like 1 in the morning and training, I'll get
Mhm.
up at 4:30 to go training, and I'm not going to do that because I'll be pretty cranky during the day if I
Yeah.
do that. But yeah, I'm just like, oh, I wish I had gone to swim, because it's like it's part of the routine, it's part of the habit,
Uh-huh.
and you just feel so good because
Mhm.
like I find it hard to get that kind of workout in many other many
Mhm.
other activities. It's like swimming is just, it's a whole body thing. You've got that forced meditation in the water. You've got the sound of the water as well, and I like
Mhm.
that you can be very intuitive with like the effort that you're putting in, and you become hyper aware of how things feel, the
Yeah.
output that you've got, and little changes that you make to your stroke and what correlation they have to your speed, and your pace and all those sorts of things. And so you just really just like, it's better than lying on the floor and meditating for half an hour. It's like, no, it's just
Yes, yes.
active
Well,
meditation. Yeah.
you're just so aware of your body. Like, I was having this conversation with my friend the other day because I was like, I feel like when you're a dancer, you have to be very aware of your body, like what your arms and legs are doing. Because even without watching them, you have to just like, I used to have a ballet teacher that like it, which you would think I'd be good at high elbow because she would come around and like put your elbow up, like when you're in a, the first position or second position. She'd be like, nope, nope, because your elbow cannot be down when you're.
Right.
So, but stuff like that, like, you have to know where everything is, and, it kind of brings that back, like, that feeling back for me, like, when I'm in the water, like, okay, I felt like my hand slipped through the water, or, like, whenever I make a change and I can feel myself pushing more water, and I'm like, "It's so cool." Like, when you can feel it, it's just really cool.
How long did it take you to get that feeling of being able to hold the water, or yeah, move it through?
I wanna say I really like, I've always kind of felt it with paddles. It's easy to feel with paddles, but, like, when I would take them off, I would try to get the same feeling, but I feel like after the swim trip to Maldives, I think that's when I really started to feel it because I feel like I finally, like, felt like I was going up and over kinda, and that I felt like I was, like, scooping almost, like scooping the water, and I feel like, that's when it really kinda clicked, but, like, before then, I could start to feel like, when I would really push back, I could kind of feel, like, what I was pushing, so I don't really remember, like, when I first started feeling it, but I do know that, like, anytime that you would tell me to change something, like, it was easier than I would think to, like, feel what I needed to change, but I didn't know I needed to change it till you saw it. But yeah.
That's where I think a lot of the dance trainings probably come in, is that ability to, well, the proprioception that you've got from it, because it can be really hard to know what you're
Mhm.
doing, but I think that dance training would have helped a lot there. And with the camp, like we were in the water twice a day, pretty much every day.
Yeah.
Did That's obviously more than what you've done before. You're normally doing 3 sessions a week.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that consistency helped you sort of step it up in terms of your swimming?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think that because I've heard people say before, and I might have even heard you say this before, like, even if you're just going to get in for, a couple hundred, like, just to practice a few things, like, just reminding your body of something every single day, like, I feel like makes a huge difference. Like, I wish I could go to the pool more than 3 times a week for that reason. But, yeah, I think just, like, being repetitive, like, I think it just helps build the muscle memory, like, so much more because you're just constantly doing the same thing correctly, and then you ends up just becoming part of how you swim, I guess. But, yeah, I
Mm.
think it definitely made a difference, and that camp definitely challenged me in a lot of ways, especially when we swam around the island. I was like, "Oh my god, what? Never swam that far in my life." I was, like, so afraid to do it, and everyone else, it was like a normal day, and so that's probably one of those moments where you're, like, with the surfers that are really good and, you're just I kinda was like, "I don't feel like I belong here." But I did it, and it was fine.
Yeah,
So
we ended up doing 2 laps of the island,
mhm.
which I think it was about 3.5 kilometers,
Mhm.
from memory. And
Yes.
going one way is like, it's hard work because 'cause you're swimming against the
Mhm.
current, and you're just seeing, it's like grains of sand at a time you're moving past. It's going so
Yes.
slowly.
That
But
was
once you
so
get around
frustrating.
but once you get around the corner, then you're flying and you feel like you've
Yeah.
just turned into Michael Phelps after that.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
which was yeah, it was good fun. It's just the warm water, the sea life,
Mhm.
the people there, was so much fun. And I like, I doubt you've probably swum in like out in the ocean like that before.
No.
It's probably quite a different experience.
Yes.
Did you feel like you gained confidence from that side of things in the open water and and just being in the elements a bit?
Yeah, definitely. Because actually we had so we did sail in the Bahamas. No, the yeah, the Bahamas before that. And I did swim a little bit, but I was so afraid the whole time. And there were currents and wind, and there was this giant stingray, and I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Where I'm going back on the boat." Going back in the boat and I'm eating some chocolate or something. I'm done. But in the like in the Maldives, I was like, we were all swimming together and we were in this big group. And I was like, well, I feel safer because there's so many more people around me. And so that helped. And I saw, a couple of sharks swim below. And I was like, it's fine, and it didn't bother me. It was weird. And then we got so much practice with like open water, with the open water skills, like looking for the bubbles so you're not like looking up while you're swimming. Like you can kind of keep your head where it's supposed to be and just like see the bubbles of the feet in front of you. Like that was super helpful. I had never even thought of it that way. And then drafting, I drafted behind someone almost like halfway through swimming around the island, and that was great. It was just like a giant break. I was like, "Oh, this is so easy." So that was good to practice because I was in a safe environment. I didn't have to like practice it during a race, for the first time. So that was really cool. And yeah, and then you guys would be like, "Okay, go swim around here." And I'm like, "What? Okay, fine." Like you made it seem like it wasn't a big deal. Even in my head, if I was just doing it on my own, I'd be like, "Oh, that's so far," but like so
Yeah, well, it's been really good to just see you kind of level up a bit with your swimming since coming back from that camp, and yeah, it feels like everything's sort of come together really nicely. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the next couple of months hold for your swimming, because yeah, just keep sort of checking the boxes, making these adjustments, and working your way up, which is awesome. And for someone who is either looking to start swimming, or they've sort of just started swimming and they're like, maybe how you were earlier in the year, where it's like, okay, I'm working hard, but I don't know what I need to focus on or what I can do. Like, what advice would you give to someone who was in the same situation to you earlier in the year?
I would definitely say just be consistent because I there were probably months at a time where I didn't really see that much of a change, but like I knew that things were changing because I would send you a video and you would tell me something was better. So it's hard to know like if you're getting better because you're maybe not videoing yourself or you're not seeing a huge change in your times, but, like, I feel like just consistently going to the pool, like, I feel like every time I go, like, it does something. It's kind of, like, funny because it's so similar to dance because my dance teachers used to say, "Every day you don't dance, it takes 2 days to make it up," they would always say, especially at this one ballet school I went to that was super intense.
It's the same thing in
Um
swimming. That's what the coach.
yeah,
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 I've said
yeah,
that
it was
before.
just They'd be like, if you miss, a day of dance, because for us, it wasn't just one class, it was, like, hours and hours and hours of ballet or whatever, and so they were like, "If you miss a day, then, you're behind. You're behind. It takes, like, 2 days." So I'm like, "Oh my god." So, I mean, that's, like, kind of the mentality I was used to, and so now I'm like, I understand just coming from that background, like, how every time you get in the pool or every time you practice something, like it does get better, but it can be really small, but it still like really does get better. So I would say like the more you despise swimming when you start, the more you should go. Just like, just go and it will click and get easier. But like you have to work at it. Like it's not magic. Like even my arms like being not that strong, like I feel like I have to just keep going and keep putting the work in and it might take like a couple of years to get faster just based on my strength. Even if my technique was good, I feel like I still just need to be stronger in general. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's and that's such an important lesson, is the consistency. And like, you can't steer a parked car. You need to be moving.
Mhm.
You need to be going to the pool and try and trying these things. So it's yeah, great to see how far you've come, and been a pleasure working with you as well, and meeting yourself and Jody. And you're both on the camp next year as well, which would be great.
Mhm.
Both swimming next year as well. So no
Yes,
pressure
yes, I convinced him
for
to swim this
Jody.
time.
Yeah, he was on the beach drinking pina coladas,
Yeah, he
watching you
was.
swim, and now he's
I know.
and now he's got to join us.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So Victoria, thank you very much for being on the podcast and sharing your story, and looking forward to working with you in the months to come.
Yep. Thank you so much.